The environment is undoubtedly the most important place for our people, a place with beautiful landscapes, animals of all kinds, and a wide range of colors such as green, blue, and brown. But, unfortunately, thanks to our own actions, these colors are gradually changing to weird tones, and perhaps in the future they will become black. Has it always been like this? How was it in the past? If we don't take care of the environment, what will happen in the future? As we already know, it is obvious that the world planet is in constant change, either for better or for worse. We can change the future, but we can take actions to create a future according to our needs and guarantee a good future. Can we do the same with the environment? Sure, we can, but first we must know in detail what the environment was like and identify the problems it faced.
Let's go back to the past, a world where everything was simpler and more pleasant. The environment was less polluted, all thanks to the fact that there were not many companies that polluted. The water was cleaner, much more crystalline, and much bluer. Before it was all bush with blankets and abundant trees in all the surroundings. The fauna was more diverse, and above all there were species that today are either very emaciated or definitely extinct. People commonly use bicycles or simply walk. We also reduce pollution thanks to the few automobiles that people used. Another thing to highlight is the material resource, as they were not so exploited and really took advantage of the use of electricity and various domestic materials. Food in general was more natural because thanks to the existence of natural resources it didn't have to be modified, let alone add with chemicals that decompose its original form.
You could see blue oceans, with a rubbish lush forest very clean and cared for roads without pollution. Climate change was not as big as a problem as it is now. In those times, the temperature was warm and stable, where climate did not exceed 25 degrees centigrade, and above all, natural disasters were not as frequent and much less dangerous than today. In general, the environment seemed less polluted. Evidence of these are the few disasters that occur. Well, compared to the present, the mortality rate from disasters related from the environment was much lower than today. At present, the world is lost due to the capitalist system that has adapted the world. You may ask yourself, what does this have to do with it? Well, thanks to this system, companies have created many more items that demand the creation of new factories. This directly polluting the environment. Now chemicals and treated water are used to grow food. These foods are modified, and it is not really known if they are as healthy as they were before. Water is no longer as clean as it used to be, and thanks to the amount of waste we make as a species, there are how many more diseases that cause a higher mortality rate. According to climate change, it can be deduced that global warming, according to studies, cannot only warm the planet, but also cool it is. This being a double-edged sword because we already have a higher temperature of the planet. You can see streets covered with rubbish, rivers that instead of looking like rivers, look like a rubbish lagoon. The environmental problems are at the surface. Daily we can observe in the news how deforestation, cyclones, tornadoes are treating us with more frequency, and the temperature has risen a lot lately. We can no longer prevail a hot wave that hovers around 13 degrees Celsius.
In general, everything got worse, but not everything is bad news, because at present the ozone layer has been restored to a large extent, thanks to the awareness that has been generated today. But unlike everything else, we are at the lowest point as humanity, so low that even companies are more interested in money and industrialization than the care of our environment. A more particular case is that of Japan. In short, we depend on all those things that companies offer us, but in exchange for a brutal exchange of environmental conditions. It is increasingly difficult to obtain primary resources such as a coal or oil. Every time we see behaviors in species which had never been recorded before. What is the offspring that we will live in the future? Well, we don't think it will be a good one, because at the present time alone, diseases for this very reason are their peak. We already know the change the planet has undergone. It is imminent to ask, what will happen in the future? We have two alternative futures. The first consists of reaching extreme levels of pollution, to such an extent that the pollution is greater than the flora and fauna of planet Earth. The level of heat will increase greatly, which will cause diseases never seen before. Perhaps the ozone layer will no longer be sufficient to protect us from the ambiguities that are approaching. In the same area, let's also talk about the trees. There will be no more trees, and all the green areas we know today will be replaced by companies and factories that will provide us with second-hand goods, completely useless in a world where we cannot live.
Extremely processed food instead of feeding us will make us sick. Unimaginable and above all, unregulated shortages will exist to such a degree that it becomes unconsumable. A dark future looms in all areas, with a planet Earth that will change its blue color of beauty to a black and soulless color. However, all is not lost, because there is a much better future possible, achievable only with the help of humility. In that future, there will be companies but also green areas, and rivers will remain polluted with existing water. Global warming will decrease, and we could resemble what once existed. How can we achieve this? It is simple. We apply techniques and methods beneficial to the planet. Small actions such as throwing rubbish in this place or not wasting water can save us from the dark future that is approaching. However, it is important to promote these actions and above all, maintaining consistency. It is useless to perform them if they are not carried out daily. Thank you for the time you have dedicated to us. Remember that it is in your hands to do good deeds for the environment and to be able to save a little bit of our beloved planet.